Yo. Sorry, I never really done this, and I'm just kind of like, let's just do it real quick, because this will be sick. Yo, if you're in the chat, say what's up. I'm mixing EK's album right now. I'm just sharing this. I decided to do this. I'm like, you know what? Let's fucking do this shit. Oh, what's up, Fanny? Let me also say some shit on IG real quick. Alright. You know, real quick before, so I'm gonna go grab something and then I'm gonna be right back and we'll get started with this shit. I'm mixing a track called Oh My. We've got... Pull that down, not that. Where is it? There we are. So... This is EK's next two albums, like the track lists and a couple other like songs and releases. You know, this is all subject to change. This is just like notes. So I've got all of this complete. All these songs have been like mixed, or you know, they just haven't been like finalized. I've been going through, tying up any loose ends and getting proper masters for the streaming service for each one. And so this is Oh My. This is like one of the. This is I think the second song me and EK ever recorded, which is fucking crazy. It hasn't come out. So we've obviously had other songs come out and shit since then, but that's just how it's worked out. So that's what I'm gonna be mixing right now. All right, no one's here. I'm gonna be right back. Yo. Get in here. Yo. Let me pull the chat up on my phone while I do this shit. Come on, chat. Dopeness. Alright, I got the chat here. Hey, if you're in the chat, you got any questions about what I'm doing and shit, say what's up. Say hello to the dog. She's annoying. I just, so I got this track here. I mixed it, but I mixed it a long time ago, and I just think I'm like a lot better. Like I mixed this shit like 2 years ago. So I'm remixing it. I just put, so I took everything that I had off from my old session, and I took everything off there, and then I fucking printed auto tune, because I usually record with auto tune printed now, like live, and I use this tape. I go through UAD. I have Universal Audio, so I got an Apollo, and I go through this. I'm using it right now on my vocal, like me talking to you. This is like a tape emulation basically, but it's a really good one because it's from UAD, and it's a subtle little thing, but there's a reason why. I mean, they use this a lot, but people will still use tape and shit like that because it makes what you're working with at the end of the. This is all about little moves, and it makes what you're working with at the end of the day easier to work with. So the vocal file versus just being like, you know, voice to microphone to digital audio, to turning this into you know, to what tape would do to it, where it would saturate at the end of the shit. You know, I don't want to explain tape saturation unless you want to understand it, because I don't think I'm the best person to hear about it from. But it makes it at the end of the day where I need to do less with my compression mostly, but also a little bit with EQ. I'm already a little bit closer to my sound, because, you know, you never want to go too far with one plugin. But all right, so we're going to get into this shit. Let me know if the sound at any point is like fucked up on this shit, by the way. I've just got a condenser mic just kind of like far from me, and I'm playing music from the speakers, so I don't know how good this will sound. But so yeah, this barely has any processing on it. I'm kind of going from the beginning. So like, this is what we started with. I was doing a little bit and then I opened this up. So this is what I started with. I got bad bitches telling me, Bobby, I'll never leave. Trying every trick to give me shit, keep shit under her sleeve. Close her eyes and hold me close. And that's only with one of these playing. Also, I got a lot of stuff's turned down right there. That's just one vocal, but obviously that doesn't sound done right. So I start on the mix bus. I like an SSL bus compressor. I just use this is a Native Instruments version of it. There's a lot of really good ones. There's the Waves version. There's the UAD version. Most of them are pretty good, right? Very rarely do I veer from this. Is like the first thing I do. I usually have my release at 0.2. I might elongate that sometimes to 0.4, but like that's like 5% of the time. Attack's always 10. And I just kind of get it to where I can kind of hear it happening a little bit, kind of gluing it together, and I've got this needle bouncing but fully recovering, so it doesn't stay at the loudest parts. It's not being compressed the whole time. See how it's bouncing and recovering and sitting at 0 after the kick hits? That's what I want. So, you know. See, I just kind of put the threshold down even like 2 more decibels because I kind of like a lot, right? And as long as it can recover all the way, I know it's good, and I'm not hearing anything fucked up. This is kind of like a subtle thing. It takes a while to hear it, and it's kind of time-based, so it's hard to hear. But you can hear it with it on. I always put a clariphonic. This is a Kush Audio plugin. I won this a long time ago, and it's awesome. I fucking love it. There's not really another plugin that I know of that's like it. I can hardly say what it does. It's a parallel equalizer, so it's like a bunch of filters on top of filters and shit. Hey, what's up, Morgan? You know, what's dope too is this is one of the ones where I'm focusing on mixing. So fucking I should probably be learning from you on one of these. But anyways, I'm trying to do shit like this more. So I really love this on the silk setting around fucking 12 o'clock right here. I'll kind of put it around. I do this probably every fucking mix at the beginning because it immediately gets me closer to where I want everything to sound. So it's like, I like starting the mix bus, do not all my work on the mix bus, but do some of my work on the mix bus, and then start on the vocals and mix into that mix bus. So I can kind of be gentler over here, right? So the silk setting on this, going into a bus compressor, like immediately I just get really close to, I hate using the word modern sound, but I get it really quickly. That sounded fine right there, what I was just listening to. And then, I don't know if I heard, I heard this before I turned it on, so I'm just turning everything back on. And then over here in the focus setting, it's a little bit more on the lower end. I put this on open and diffuse. I almost always have it like this on my mix bus. I really would just change the dials. I never fuck with these settings. It's always gold. Really a dark mix, a higher mix, you know, like a brighter mix, you know, it always sounds good to me. I just haven't had a time where I didn't like the way it sounded. And then I've been using another Kush plugin a lot lately. I just started using this Hammer EQ, and I'm thinking about buying their $10 a month where you get all their plugins, because this is just a trial. But I love the way this guy sounds. It's like a valve EQ. And when you put on the low cut and the high cut and then put the boost, conversely, kind of like how you can do it with, a lot of these old EQ plugins, it's fucking, it sounds dope. Are you talking about the stream, or are you talking about what I'm doing? Oh, with the stereo versus mono dual. I'm doing everything right now in stereo, and I'm listening in stereo right now. I'll probably switch to mono when I've got like most of the things in the mix kind of going, and I'm setting levels. But yeah, so with this, yeah, I've got a high cut and a low cut. I'm just using, honestly, this. They got a couple. I really fuck with the presets in this, and I know that's not what people want to hear. I mean, I fucked with the dials before, but I immediately get the sound I want off of usually one or two of this aggressive modern scoop. Sometimes I fuck with the modern glue on a track that has a lot of dynamics, but yeah, modern scoop one, I was just listening before. This sounds awesome. So here, I'm gonna play it without. That's with, and I know you guys are hearing this through a microphone and all this sort of shit, but I think that sounds fucking great. I'm retaining everything at the bottom really well. The Clairphonic, I run it in stereo. You can run it in dual mono, and you can also run it mid-side. Usually I find there's only a few plugins that I fuck with a lot on mid-side. Usually I just stick mostly with panning, and I use Panman a lot on stuff too, because this is with the beat's a stereo instrumental, so I just kind of like, I end up mixing a lot of tracks where I just have a stereo instrumental, and I think most people that mix rappers know what that's like, and I've just learned to deal with it, and it's cool because then I just focus on the vocal, so it actually is become, instead, before I used to really not like doing it, I actually kind of like it now. It's just like, I just get to fuck with the vocal once I get everything else ready. If I have to fuck with this file at all, besides maybe a little bit of EQ cut or boost, it's never fun. That usually means I got to do a lot more work or try to get the stems. But so that's all I'm gonna do in the mix bus for now. Let's go to this vocal. I was already mixing this a little bit before I went live, so first I got D-breath. This usually does most of the breath control work that I need to do. I'm most vocalists, but sometimes, it doesn't do everything. And then I have Nectar here, but I don't use any of the Nectar shit. This is like the OG Nectar, or it's Nectar 2. An Isotope plugin. I got 3 Isotope plugins right off the top. I love Isotope. I just use this because it has a lot of modules in it, and it has gate, de-esser, and compressor. And I love this gate and de-esser real quick, so I don't have to have more plugins on my chain. And then I use this compressor, kind of set like, what do you call that? What is that fucking compressor that we always use? 1176. Like I have like 1176 settings. It's digital, 2.5 ratio. And I just have this doing a very little bit of compression on the peaks. You'll see that compressor isn't doing work the whole time, just on some peaks, just kind of shaving those down a little bit. Very, very subtle compressor, no gain, and that's it. This is the bulk of everything, is Neutron. I think there's Neutron 1. I think they're on like Neutron 3 now. I haven't netted up and bought the new one. But coming into Neutron, really I use, knowing, because I recorded this, so most of the time when I'm recording, I'm probably recording on an AKG C424, I think it's called, or a 414, and which is what you're hearing me on now, kind of further away. And I've got, my webcam's attached to the fucking computer screen, so I can't move it. But this room is treated, and I've got a treated recording area, and I usually am recording directly into, I got the Apollo fucking Unison plugin for an Avalon, but at the time I didn't, so I know I didn't do this with the Avalon, so I've got a bigger scoop at 300. Usually around 300, bro, on like, don't think too much with your vocals. You're gonna probably, in most recordings, have a little bit of build up around there that could be better if you scoop a little bit of it out. And then usually I've got a boost somewhere between like, it's usually somewhere between 13 to 1800. For him, it's right here around 15, 14 point 1400. Let's call it 1400. And then I might boost a little bit over here. So here, let's turn the compressors off that I've already got set up. Obviously, that compressor's adding some volume with this bell over here, and I like to keep these boosts pretty wide. That one actually might be a little wide though. Let's put that down to that, and then I want to boost over here. I feel like I want a little more brightness out of it, so it pokes through a little bit. And I'm going to explain while I mix this track, and then I'll probably just kind of go quieter and just kind of start doing some mixing heavier. Yeah, I love Neutron. It's just so convenient. I like all the way the tools are. I like the way it looks. I do appreciate that neutrino shit. I don't know really what it does. Like, they make it sound really confusing, but you also don't need to know anything. I just turn it up, and it always fucking sounds good. It's got a limiter at the end of it, so I do most of, like, the work on the channel typically in Neutron. You know, and most of the work I'm doing, most mixing on shit, even beats that I make, I do a lot of the mixing to the beat while I'm making the beat, and I do what's necessary as I go. Most of the time with you know, since it's not a recorded sound, since I'm making shit, you know, my mixing on other shit is pretty light. Most of this processing that I do is like 80% of the time on the vocal, 70% of the time on the vocal, and then you could say working on the effects, but those effects those sends and shit are usually part of the vocal. So, you know, and then I guess the mix bus would be the rest of it, or buses. So, yeah, most of the time it's all on the vocal. Two compressors, and this is like one of the most important parts of vocals. I feel like is serial compression. There's a reason why I had a compressor back there. At the time when I recorded this, it wasn't recorded with compression on it, but I'm usually recording shit with compression on it from the Avalon. And then before I had the Avalon, I was doing that with an 1176 on my on console on UAD, so it's recorded live like that, so it's printed onto it. And so I got two compressors here. They're both pulling out about 5 dB at the max. This first one's really fucking fast, half a millisecond or 0.5 ms with a 9 ms release, super fast, ratio 3, no knee. You can fuck with those, right? And it's an RMS, and then I've got the same thing, RMS. I've got more like a limiter compression, closer to limiting compressions. I'm 6 ratio 6, and this one's a little slower, 15 attack, 100 release, but still not, pretty fast, right? I have those in succession, and you know, if you don't know a lot about compression, I kind of think of it like, have you ever seen a guy make a pot, you know, where it's spinning and you're like going, and he kind of makes a shape? That's what you're doing to the sound waves. You get to push it in a little bit with the compression. How fast, like the angle of how you're turning it in, if you imagine it that way, I don't know if that's helpful, is your attack, etc., right? So two of these in quick succession. I have the faster but less hard ratio first, harder ratio with a little bit slower right after that. After this, it's pretty close. The rest of it is just getting it that, you know, extra 10-15%. So here, without the compressors. Hard without that stroke, I yell that pussy, let him breathe, yeah. I ride something dead, smoking, killing, and on toxic, popping mess like they was dead. Pills got me feeling like zombies. Alright, turning them on. I ride something dead, smoking, killing, and on toxic, popping mess like they was dead. Pills got me. And if you can't hear that, I gave that vocal a lot of volume. Obviously, it's way less dynamic, so the RMS of it is way higher. Lastly, I like the exciter here, really lightly, all the way warm. I've got 1.3 dB of that. I enjoy the sound of their distortion. I think it sounds good. I like to give it just a little bit. I don't know if y'all have sound toys, so like, I really only fuck with, I don't have that many plugins, but I do have them. Isotope, Sound Toys, UAD, I like Kush. I've been really getting into them lately, even though they stole our fucking name. What else I use? I use some of these Native Instruments plugins because I use Complete. I usually use their VSTs, right? What else do I use? Some random ones, basically. Valhalla reverbs. You know, there's really only a few, so I'll read them. Isotope, Kush, Native Instruments, Melda Production, Sir Audio, who makes standard clip, Sonar Works. I use Sonar Works, Sound Toys, UAD, Valhalla. That's all the brands that I've got that are actively being used. So Sound Toys usually makes effects, but I love the EQ they've got, and on almost every vocal I end up coming in right after here and putting the mid band here on 5.6, and I turn it up, you know, to taste between like 2 to even 6 decibels. Just listen to the way this sounds. I'm gonna play it off first and then I'll turn it on. Oh, you know what? Tell me if I think it'll sound better for you guys now that I did that. That's what's it on. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the Titan dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my virus. She love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the vid. You already know, Morgan. You already know. Because your dynamics are always like the most interesting part of your productions, like the way things like pop and suck back in and come back out. You know what I mean? You really use time, and I appreciate that. So honestly, after that, stock exciter plugin right here. There's a piece of hardware that this is made after, but it's basically I don't really know how to. A lot of this shit I kind of explain it in a nerdy way, but I don't use it. Once you use it enough, you don't need to think, oh, this plugin does this. You just kind of do shit because you know what it adds to the sound. This adds like it like makes it puts a distortion shit on the high end and like kind of adds it in here. Like you can. I'm gonna do it with just the wet signal, no dry, so you're just gonna hear what it adds. So this is what it's adding to the signal. I have it at 10,000, 5%, the first color. I don't know if y'all can hear that. That's like what's going on top of the signal. It's just like this little bit of like energy at the top that kind of like tickles your ear. It's back over here. Turn the dry signal on. Eyes know me close, but her close what I'm underneath. Attack her hard without that stroke. I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, kill it and autopsy. Facts, yeah, I think we do use a lot of the same shit. I've seen your setup a couple times. Plus, we're both Logic, so Logic gang. Let's see over here. So, the way I usually like to mix shit is I just start with one of the vocals, especially on something like this where I got an MP3. So I just start with one of the vocals, get it sounding pretty good. That sounds good to me. It's obviously dry. So right after that, I'm going into spatial effects. I usually do it 90% of the time. Like I have kind of like a mental template. Like I know, like I have a path. So when I'm mixing, I know what I'm about to do next to get it to the sound that I want. So right after this, I'm going to go into spatial effects and I'm going to do 3 things. And I've already got them mostly set up. This is where I stopped and said, let me do this live. I've got a short reverb, a long reverb. I really think you gotta have 2 reverbs, and both of those are EQ'd before the reverb. So if y'all see down here, there's the reverb, and right before it, on the return, I got a channel, and I'm taking off a lot of high end, because that's gonna make the reverb sound way more natural. Think about where the reverb is. Higher frequency sounds like the smacking of your lips, and you know, right now I'm far from the mic and you can't hear S sounds as loud and pop sounds, but if I get closer, you probably hear the S sounds a lot more and shit like that. So those artifacts that you don't hear if someone's far away. And the same thing with the reverb. If I'm across the room, you shouldn't hear you wouldn't hear that unless you're close to my ear. So doing that is gonna immediately make your reverb sound way less like overwashed out, cartoony, artificial, not real. So I do that, and I usually take out some low end too because that'll build up pretty easily on a reverb. On these, I'll treat them a little different. My longer reverb, usually a harsher, I'm taking out off the top. About the same on the low end though. Both these, I've been using Valhalla. I love these Valhalla reverbs. They're only like $50 for each one of their plugins. They're great. They'll sound good. I really like. I usually just, these are some presets, and then I just kind of dialed in a little bit from there. I usually fuck with one of their 300 presets. It's meant to sound like this hardware unit of reverb that was really popular. But there's a couple in here that I go to a lot, and I usually just adjust from there. Sometimes I'll fuck with this color. They got a 70s, 80s. I really like the plugin does that too. And now, and they just have like it'll explain each one down here at the bottom, like the way they're set up. But I mean, it kind of sounds how it looks, right? This one has like this grittier. It feels orange, man, and like this one feels purple. I use this one. Rarely use 70s unless I'm doing like some kind of lo-fi-ish stuff, or something that's meant to sound like boom bap-ish. You know what I'm talking about? Grittier. But usually I'm either using 80s or now. I'm actually gonna put these on 80s for a while and just listen to that, and then maybe I'll come back later after my ears adjusted and see which sounds better. But these I've already kind of got set up, so I'm just gonna turn them on. And you can hear the difference. Here, I'll turn them on while I'm playing it. This is dry.
Trying every trick to give me shit, keep shit under her sleeve. Close her eyes and hold me close, but her close what I'm underneath. Attack her heart without that stroke. I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it in autopsy, popping mess like they was best. Pills got me.
So that sounds pretty good to me. It actually might be a little much. I turned it down a little bit. But it might sound like that if you just turn it on after listening to it dry for a while and you get used to that. You can't let your ears get tricked by, you listen to something, the longer and longer you listen to it, it sounds normal. Sometimes you gotta leave, come back, listen again. You're like, oh shit, that's all fucked up. But with those, I kind of just barely want to hear them to where it doesn't sound, it's almost like mayonnaise on a sandwich. You put too much and it's all wet, it's gross. You just want enough to where it's not dry, right? At the end with my fucking these spatial effects, because I'm about to do a delay after this, I'll bus all these to their own bus, so there'll be an effects bus, and I like to usually add some distortion, which adds some volume, makes it bigger, makes it kind of muddier. Maybe EQ it after that if I need to, but usually I don't need to. And then what I'll do is I'll duck it to the main vocal, so I'll put a sidechain compressor on it, so that way when the main vocal's not there, it's like and blooms, and then when it comes in, it kind of like takes it out of the way, so the main vocal gets more of this like it pushing through effect too, so it kind of serves a lot of purposes. Hey, I appreciate that, Morgan. I feel like as time goes on, I'm sure you feel the same way. Like I've been able to find more like what I do that's good. You know what I mean? A big part of that lately, I was wondering, I wanted to ask you, do you use a clipper? And I want to know how you use it. I recently just started using a clipper, and I feel like the way my mixes have been translating onto streaming services has been way better. And I'll probably go over, because I might use the clipper a little bit different on this song that I've been doing the past 2 or 3 mixes. But so, yeah, I've got those in there. So now, with this bad boy over here, so I always set the BPM on my track. If you don't have a DAW that can do that, because someone told me recently that Reaper doesn't do that, that's trash. So I gotta have that, because it's a big part about how I set up my delays too, and how I move shit around the track. So what I like to do a lot of the time, and then this is another thing that I do on a lot of mixes, I'm just telling you guys, you guys can just copy how I do shit. I just try shit. You probably won't like it exactly how I do it, and you might adjust from it. But if you just pick up little things that I do, and you're like, oh, I like how I did that, I'm gonna try that. Just do that, because I mean that's mostly how I've learned. I mean, obviously, doing more shit than that, and nothing replaces just doing a fuckload of mixes. That's when I got really good, when I just started mixing a lot of people's music, and I fucked up some things, and as you do that, you learn. I love Echo Boy, right? I pretty much only use this delay. In fact, I only use this delay. I only use this delay. Besides maybe a delay that's part of a VST or something already built into something that I might turn on real quick. This is my delay when I'm mixing. I come in here, and I'm going to bust my main vocal to this. I'm going to have a send going over here, all the way wet, obviously. I'm going to give it a little bit of feedback. As far as style, there's a couple I fuck with. I like to go to the DM2 style. It usually sounds great. I'm going to turn up the distortion. I'm not even listening. I already know it's going to sound pretty good. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit on this low cut a little bit, and then I'm going to high cut it way more, up to like here, like halfway, like pretty high. And it's a dual quarter delay. And then I'm going to go to the one on the right ear. Or, Hold up, it needs to get to meaty.
I rise from the dead, smoking, killing it, and autopsy, popping mess like they was bad.
What the fuck? Okay, let me just manually type in the tempo. It's 59, right? Just 59? Yeah. Bus 5? Yeah. Oh, it's going to bus... Stupid ass. I had it set to the wrong bus. Hold up. There we go. So what I do, I'm gonna come in here, do a dual delay, so it's different one for each ear. Right now they're both the same. Got them both set to a quarter note, so that's 1016.9 milliseconds. I'm gonna move this ahead 8 to 10 milliseconds. So let's go 27. Give it a slight Haas effect, and this is low passed pretty heavily. It's got some saturation on it. It's not going to be, and then I'm just going to push the signal in it to taste, and it's going to add this kind of quarter delay groove on the vocal that is, as long as the vocal is, its rhythm doesn't clash with that, which most of the time it's not, this is just going to, I don't know how to explain, it's just going to add this kind of tying back into each other the whole time. So I'm going to put that about right there. I'm going to play it without it first, and then we're going to turn it on as I'm playing it.
Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the talking dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my virus. She love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the vid.
So that was actually probably a little too much, but that sounded pretty good. You can't discern it or hear it, you know, but it just adds energy. So here I'm gonna play the vocal right now, just without. This is just the main verse vocal, not even the ad lib, without the beat, so you can kind of hear these effects that we've added.
Struck, I killed that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it, and autopsy, popping mess like they was pets. Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Poppy. My squad is the talking dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my virus. She love when I hit it, and times by the violence can get it.
So you can hear those as I press pause. You hear the delay, but you don't really hear it throughout. It's not meant to be in your face. This is just kind of like these three effects right here are more for like a spatial blend to give it just that bit of depth that it needs. Using sidechain. Yep, I know, because I always, whenever I see you do it, you use a ton of fucking sidechain, which is good, like in a good way. You use it ways that I wouldn't think to use it. Yeah, Echo Boy's just fucking classic. It does everything you need it to do, nothing more, nothing less, and it just always sounds good. So you can't go really too wrong with it. So from there, with these, I'm gonna go ahead and set up my effects bus, and then after this, we're gonna start speeding through these, cause now the foundation is laid for me to like mix this shit. So I made that effects bus. So all these effects right here are busing to right here. And then what I'm gonna do, I got two main vocal tracks. You know what, I'm gonna do the effects bus after I mix the other main vocal track. So you know what, we're gonna come back to this.
What I'm underneath, attack her hard with that.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna kind of move through this one, but with this ad-lib vocal, obviously it's gonna be quieter, usually somewhere around 6, but use your ears, right? Sometimes higher, sometimes lower. And then what I'm also gonna do with this ad-lib, it's gonna have a lot of the same settings. It's gonna be compressed a little bit harder, and it's not gonna have as much high and low frequency content, and I'm not gonna hype it up at like 1,000. You know, I'm not gonna add all of that extra ear candy and hype, because these ad libs, I don't want them to detract, right? I want them to add, right? So I'll go ahead and do that. So I'll start this by just copying, paste, and then I'm just gonna turn everything off and go through it all one by one.
hard without that stroke. I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, kill it and autopsy. Popping mess like they was bad.
I got this, I don't know if you guys can't see what's in front of me, but I've got a control surface here, so I've got like a mixing board with like things that I can push faders and shit on. Hey, what's happening? Hey, what's happening, Fob? Yeah, I was mixing it. I'm like, why don't I just do this shit live? Because people ask me to do it, so I'm just explaining what I do while I do it. And this one's cool because this track is like the second track I ever fucking did with EK. And it sounds good, to be honest, like the OG mix. But I just feel like I just know so much more shit now that I can do it better, so I just really wanted to. So, what was I just about to say that I was doing? Oh, yeah, I've got a fucking mixing board right here. But I fucking have to reset it all the time. But I do recommend having something that you can put your finger on, not just your mouse, so you can like listen and turn it up and down, specifically your fader, because turning it up and down is so like, I don't even know what it's called, underrated, underutilized. Like, people just don't, they go to an EQ before they go to the volume. So as I'm doing this, I'm playing with the EQ because maybe I think it sounds too bright, but it's probably too fucking loud. You know what I mean? So I'm going up and down with my finger right here, writing the EQ as I'm doing shit. Or I'm sorry, writing the fader as I do this shit.
Hard without that stroke, I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, kill it and autopsy. Popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the talking dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe. She love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the field. With this pussy women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my and autopsy. Popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the talking dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe. She love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the field. With this pussy women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. Got this brown wet as hell, yeah, when I'm in there. Adam grave, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking.
See, so you go back and check shit. I just realized all this shit was in stereo right now, and these are mono recordings. Which you don't want to do that. I don't want to get into it because it's boring, but you can have weird phase issues. If shit's supposed to be a mono, keep it that way. I mean, you can turn mono shit to stereo, you know, with an effect and stuff if you want. That's not a bad idea at all, but I want this shit to be a mono. So let's go back here. So now I'm going to add. So one thing that I think I see a lot of people do is they put way too much reverb on these ad-libs. Honestly, if you're doing it like this, which you should be with buses and stuff, and I'm not saying you can never... I'll do it usually at least once a mix where I've put an effect directly on a fucking track. Like I just throw usually not reverb, probably more likely like Echo Boy. Throw Echo Boy in there and do a dry wet, you know, thing versus sending it to an effect. Sometimes that's fine, like, but with these I'm gonna send less of them to my reverb and probably much less to this delay, and that's gonna just. If you send too much, it's about to overwash this shit. Is it, Alex? Then that's pretty interesting. I'm good, kind of late. Oh shit! Hey, don't let me keep you up too much, bro. Oh, EK's asking if I got beer. Lovely time. Okay, hell yeah. Let's get this chat live again. Perfect. Alright, so where was I at with this shit? Okay, so yeah, we just put in this ad-lib. And then now we got the ad-lib. Well, let's just listen.
every trick to get me. She keeps shit under her sleeve. Close her eyes, know me close, but her close wide, I'm underneath. Attack her hard without that stroke. I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it in autopsy. Popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the Titan dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my virus. She love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get interfered with. This prison women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that.
Don't ever be afraid to go back and change some shit. I want these ad-libs to be darker.
Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the Titan dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my...
Okay. And then what I'm gonna do... So now I'm gonna go to get this other main vocal on the hook. I'm gonna mix the rest of the hook kind of in a second, but I just want to get this popping real quick. And the reason I want to do that is so that way I can make a send of all the main vocals, so I can use that to sidechain shit, and also I do a little bus processing to them. So
I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency. All my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit. First we lose our shit, then regroup. Oh, the transparency, you pussy niggas. See, I got bad bitch.
with a lot of these, I don't know if you guys do this a lot. I know Maureen probably does, but I don't know who else is watching that sees this shit. I do a lot of shit where instead of directly using the track, like this is an example. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, you know what? It depends. So I could, because I have these kind of stacked up in a different way right now, where I've partitioned my processing by hook and verse. I'm actually gonna switch that up. So let me go down here. That easy. Do y'all hear fucking a conversation happening in like my front yard? And I'm about to look out there and see what the fuck's going on. Alright. I did mix Sleepaway Camp 1983. Let me look outside. What the fuck is going on out here? The fuck? I think it's playing from the fucking Amazon guy's car. Sorry guys, there's like a bunch of fucking weird ass noise. It sounds like people are having a whole ass conversation about some shit, like a bunch of strange people. Anyways, alright, so let's come back over here. So yeah, now that I've got all my main vocals on this track, so let's go to my effects bus. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come over here and put on a decapitator. This is also an Sound Toys plugin. It has 5 different settings, different types of distortion. They all sound great. I use them for different things. And Decapitator is just fucking awesome too. It's a great distortion plugin. Honestly, you can just buy this. You don't really need too much else unless you're like... a lot of people are like really into distortions and have a whole bunch of different ones and shit. I mean, to me, it's just an end to a means. Decapitator works great. Alright, so I've got this just on all my effects on a bus right now.
I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it in autopsy. Popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the Titan dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my my vibe, and she love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get it.
So I got that right there. And then I'm just gonna come to the stock compressor here, and I got a side chain preset that I've made. Set that side chain to, yeah, bus 1. Yeah, it's going to bus. Everything's going to the right bus, right? Yup. Okay.
Violence can get in the bed with exquisite women. Your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. God just brown wet as hell, yeah. When I'm in there, I swear it feels like I'm Poseidon. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy.
It's a subtle change. I know Morgan knows what I'm talking about. She is cute as my assistant, but she doesn't help. I think I use micro shift. I think I did. I think I just threw micro shift on the, or I think I threw it on the main vocal, not on the bus. I think I put it on, I'm like 99% sure what I did. I put micro shift on the main vocal. Normally, I don't like doing that shit, but I don't know. Something to me feels weird, like stereoizing a main vocal, but not only do I hear it a lot more on shit nowadays, and I think it's cool to break the rules, but me and Kays would do that a lot on tracks, and we don't do it as much, but we still do it a lot, and just can't get away from how much I like the sound.
I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency. All my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit. First we lose our shit, then regroup. Hold the transparency, you pussy niggas. See, I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency. All my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit. First we lose our shit, then regroup. Hold the transparency, you pussy niggas. See, I got bad bitches telling me. Niggas, see, I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency, all my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit, first we lose our shit, then regroup. All the transparency, you pussy niggas, see, I got bad bitches telling me. Never leave you. Branch out for currency. All my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit. Yeah, we lose our shit, then regroup. All the transparency, you pussy niggas see through. Telling me. Then regroup. All the transparency, you pussy niggas see. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency. All my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit. First we lose our shit, then regroup. All the transparency, you pussy niggas see. I got bad bitches telling me, yo. Yeah, we branch out for the currency, yo. See, all my niggas too legit, yeah, we go. Yeah, all the transparency, you pussy niggas see through. We run straight through these bitches, yeah. We shit straight through you niggas.
I got these two little vocal tracks over here. I forget what they are. What are these?
All that transparency, pussy niggas see. I got bad bitches telling me.
Okay.
All that transparency, you pussy niggas see. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave.
I'm gonna do something interesting with these. I feel like there's a format switcher, but going for... I might, you know what, honestly, after I'm done with this, I might even go open it up, because I'm trying to remember what I did. I might have used Alter Boy. I don't think I did, though. I do fuck with using Alter Boy a lot. I don't. I'll go in there and change the format a lot. It sounds better to me than Vocal Synth from Isotope. A lot better. You know what I have heard a lot and I like the sound of is I kind of want. I've got Auto-Tune, Advanced, like the newest one, but I kind of want Auto-Tune EFX just because the effects on it actually do sound really fucking good and like plug and play. I was listening to it the other day on someone else's like YouTube video, and I was like, damn, that shit sounds good.
Oh, that transparency, pussy niggas see. I got bad bitches telling me.
Okay. So this I'm just gonna use to kind of beef up here, but. This one I'm going to actually probably put some effects directly on the track. This would be an example of me doing it. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. God damn it. Yeah, I mean, Auto-Tune, they're kind of like UAD too. Auto-Tune and UAD, the amount they charge, I mean, people pay it, so obviously it's worth that much, but it's high, man. I think UAD's fucking being, I don't know, maybe I'll be wrong, fucking stupid with this new DAW Luna that is free, but everything for it costs more than just buying, like, to get what you would get with, like, the $200 Logic purchase, you'd have to spend, like, $1,000 fucking dollars for a DAW that no one fucking uses, and that really is geared towards you having to use all the UAD shit. And it's like the buy-in to get all the UAD shit and really use it. Like I'm using an Apollo Twin Solo, which I didn't get before I bought it. I totally regret I would have at least bought the Duo. Now I really want, my goal, man, if money got the way I wanted it, my biggest thing that I want to get in, I want to get a D-Box and as an analog summing, and have an Apollo like Octo or at least a quad, like going through that. So UAD with analog summing, that's what I'd like to have, and then just slowly build up. There's more plugins that I want to buy Soothe really bad, but that's expensive as fuck too. Do you have Soothe, by the way? Yeah, Throat sounds good.
Niggas see, I got bad bitches telling me.
So with this, let's go. Yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna do some shit right here.
Pussy niggas see, I got bad bitches telling me if I pay, I'll never leave you. Branch out for company. I got bad bitches telling me if I pay you. I got bad bitches telling me.
A lot of times when you want more out of these effects, rather than turning up the effects, a lot of times I'll just put a distortion at the end of them, and it'll just give it that extra little.
I got bad bitches telling me. I got bad bitches telling me if I pay,
kind of want to fuck with the stereo image more, but that's honestly starting to sound really close. Because, I mean, do you feel how big that sounds? And, you know, if, for comparison, so let's pull up, I think I had it over here. Soothe. Have you used Soothe? I'd be surprised if you haven't heard about it, because you usually put me onto the new plugins and shit. Soothe has been I've been hearing a lot about it for like almost a year. Yeah, Decapitator's the fucking wave, bro. Do you ever use this website? I want to buy their plugin, but it's just like, bro, the website's free. I'm only pulling it up because I have it. Yeah, right over here. This is the OG version of this song. So this is how this mix used to sound. This is me mixing 2 years ago. I would say I'd been doing shit myself, but I hadn't really worked with other people, so I was kind of putting myself out there, you know? I hadn't really done too much at this point. So here's the 2-year-old version of this track. It's been in like Dropbox forever. We've been listening to it. It just hasn't come out. After this, we'll go back. Just on the track.
I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I never leave. Trying every trick to get me, she keeps shit under her sleeve. Close her eyes, know me close, but her close wide, I'm underneath. Attack her hard without that stroke, I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, counted in autopsy, popping mess like they was best. Pills got me feeling like zombies, I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby, my squad is the Titan dead. And these walkers is trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe, she love when I hit it. It's hot by the violence, can't get in the vid. With exquisite women, yo bitches know they not invited. So much hydro, I might well to try that. Yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. Got this brown wet as hell, yeah, when I'm in there, I swear it feels like I'm Poseidon. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency, all my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit.
Alright, so I'm gonna turn that off. I'm sure it probably sounds fine to most people and shit, but I think it sounds like shit. Mostly because I think it's a lot of build up in the high end is what I hear. I think you know, you get more attracted to like ear candy, you know, is when you turn shit up, the high end up, shit'll sound really nice and you just keep doing it and doing it. But eventually it sounds brittle and thin. Let's play this though, instead of me talking shit about myself in comparison.
I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave. Trying every trick to get me, she keeps shit under her sleeve. Close her eyes, know me close, but her close wide, I'm underneath. Attack her hard without that stroke, I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it in autopsy, popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies, I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby, my squad is the Titan dead. And these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe, she love when I hit it. And that's why the violence can't get in the field. With exquisite women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's
Hey, actually, I was gonna ask you a second ago, Morgan, but I forgot. On Neutron, have you ever fucked with the vocal or the mixing assistant? Because I was just curious on your opinion, because my opinion of it, I actually think it kind of sucks. It just does the same thing, I feel like, which is not at all what I would do, and I don't ever really think it sounds good. I feel like it does the same shit to each track.
yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. Got this brown wet as hell, yeah, when I'm in there, I swear it feels like I'm Poseidon. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy.
Hey, that's sick as fuck. Do you have to work in surround for that? Oh, I guess no, that would be more like movies, huh?
Me, Poppy, I'll never leave you. Branch out for
So, this is sounding pretty good. So, what I'm gonna do after this, and this is something that, like, I think early on I didn't like doing this shit because I'm like, oh, someone's gonna come on here and be like, oh, you're doing this all fucking wrong. As you get good, and you'll know if your shit sounds good because people, you listen to it and people be like, this shit sounds good. You know what I mean? And it might not be perfect yet. You know, you gotta be critical yourself and shit, but one thing, I always talk about this. Go watch Dave Pensato Pensado's Place, not Dave Pensado, the Pensado's Place episode with Mike Dean, who he does everything for Travis Scott. He first came up doing Selena, not Selena Gomez, the original Selena Quintanilla. Worked with Madonna, Kanye. He does a lot of. He's probably one of the biggest engineers in hip hop, like him, Alex Toomey, and it'd probably be the biggest ones. And he also does a lot of music production work. Like he wrote the music at the end of the ending part of what is that, Highest in the Room. You know, he obviously mixed that one. And just kind of listening to just about how like it just makes shit sound good and hype and dope, have fun, get high. Like really, that's kind of like what he kind of preaches. It doesn't even preach it. You've asked him a question, that's what he's doing. And one thing, I usually do it at the end of a mix, just to like, if I mix some shit in the studio for a rapper today, I do a little bit of mixturing, which is mixing a song and then mastering it in the same session, like all in the same session. Probably not gonna do I'm not gonna say it's never happened, but usually when I'm gonna get this shit ready to go to a streaming service, I'm gonna bounce it and then I'm gonna go to a separate session and master it. Right now, I'm gonna master it in the session, mostly for the stream. I don't know if this will be the final version unless I think it just sounds great and I'm fine with it, which in that case I don't really give a fuck, right? As long as it sounds fucking great and it meets all the specifications it needs to. But also with these tracks where we've got an MP3 beat that's already had a limiter on it, it kind of makes things a little... It's actually pretty easy to work with, but you got to work with it differently than if it wasn't like that. You can't have your limiter going as crazy. So one thing that I've actually been doing a lot lately, so usually I have a limiter and then a clipper on the whole mix bus, but I'm going to actually take my clipper to my vocal bus, my main vocal bus. And on this bus, you know what, actually no, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to take the main vocal bus and this background vocal bus, and I'm going to put them together in a bus over here. And then I'm going to remove all these because they're annoying me. Yep, so yeah, I got my all vocal bus here. And on here, I'm going to put standard clip because, check this out. So if I put it on the mix bus, well, maybe I can put it, so I already know this is probably going to happen, but these vocals are probably almost maybe even peaking louder than the beat at a lot of points. So let's take a look.
I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it, and autopsy, popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies. I need to burn what they had. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the talking dead, and these walkers just trying to pipe. In the field with this prison women, your bitches know they not invited.
You see how the vocals are, the peaks are matching the drums, and it has to do with dynamics. I don't want to, it'll be boring to explain it, but because of that, I'm gonna just put it on the vocal track. Oh wait, what did I say? Yes and no. I use masking cue to see collision between frequencies. For shitty TV shows, not Netflix. Yeah, I mean, with streaming, I just try to get it as loud as I can, around 13 LUFS, because so you got to master for streaming instead of mastering just for like loudness now. And the more you can get used to that LUF shit, the better, because it used to be that they'd have to turn my shit down a bunch when I was new and I didn't get what the fuck I was doing. So a lot of what I do is geared around making it sound the loudest on streaming services, you know, because that's what so you compete there. So with these clippers, one of the things I also like to call out with these, you got to turn the oversampling the fuck up on these. One other thing I've done a lot too lately is, and we'll see how it sounds. Usually I wouldn't use this little soft clip saturation on where it's clipping it. On the vocal, I usually turn this up like around here somewhere, and it'll just give it a little bit of something. So here, we're gonna put this on the vocal now.
The talking dead and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe, but she love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the field. With this pussy women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. God just brought with his hell, yeah. When I'm in there, I swear it feels like I'm Poseidon.
Yeah, that's really given like the vocal like credibility and position in the mix. And then from there, I'm gonna go over here to Isotope, Ozone. We're gonna get everything done in here. Yeah, I mean, with the master, you really, I don't, you know, I've already got some compression the way I want it on the mix bus. So afterwards, very rare that I'm gonna fuck with, like, I use Ozone, right? I've got Ozone 8 or 7, right? And I don't feel like I need to upgrade it. The new one looks pretty cool, but go over here on True Peak. Since I know this shit was already limited, I'm gonna throw the character here, that's like the speed of it, all the way down to 0. Negative 1.05. Don't worry about that too much. Just get it under 1, you know? I get it barely under 1. I use IRC4 Modern 90% of the time. Sometimes I come over here to 3 for balanced or pumping, but that's on tracks that are usually out of this style. This modern trap hip-hop style, I'm gonna use IRC4 most of the time. Great majority. And then I'm gonna bring this down, and I don't want to be this shit to be limiting a lot because I know the beat was already limited, so I'm just trying to get it as loud as it's supposed to be. So another thing I'm gonna do, pull up right here. Pull up. A lot of people like, I don't get, they're always like, oh, Isotope fucking Insight is amazing. I don't like it. I actually use this motherfucker. I use the stock one over here, and I just slow it down. Slow your equalizers down when you can, because when they're going too fast, you're not really getting useful information. But I'm really just fucking with this for the metering, for the LUFs and shit. So.
The talking dead and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe, but she love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the field. With this pussy women, your bitches know they not invited.
I didn't notice that I had my meter before Ozone, and I was like, what the fuck, why is it so quiet?
Not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. God just brought with his hell, yeah. When I'm in there, I swear it feels like I'm Poseidon. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'm not.
So now I'm starting to limit just a little bit. So let's see what kind of LUFs we get with this.
Every trick to get me, she keeps shit under her sleeve. Close her eyes, know me close, but her close wide, I'm underneath. Attack her hard without that stroke, I kill that pussy, let him grieve, yeah. I rise from the dead, smoking, killed it, and autopsy. Popping mess like they was bad. Pills got me feeling like zombies, I need that brain, want that head. So come and give it to Bobby. My squad is the talking dead, and these walkers just trying to bite me, yeah. Sick with it, they don't want my vibe, but she love when I hit it, and that's why the violence can get in the field. With this pussy women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my home, I might go deep diving. God just brought with his hell, yeah. When I'm in there, I swear it feels like I'm Poseidon.
To be honest, that might be perfect. I might put the threshold down on the, like 1 more dB. I'm actually, oh, you know, but I'm gonna do a little bit more to it in Ozone. Hey, what's happening, Shyla? Yeah, this shit does sound nice. This is OG shit. This is when I just first met EK. This is back like early 2018. So I'm remixing the whole thing so I can do him justice a little better. So with that where it is, to get that, like, you know, it's got 0.3 LUFs left that I could kind of push it to if I wanted to. I'll do a couple things in here. I like the imager in Ozone, and I might throw that imager on just for widening on the effects bus. I actually do that sometimes. I like that. There's not really too much shit to pan here, and I don't think it would be the best use of it, trying to do a bunch of crazy panning in this. I might do some panning to the ad-libs, but you know, the beat's already doing enough of that for me, so I'll probably just widen some shit over here. But so I like their vintage tape module. I'm gonna throw this right before the maximizer. I'm gonna throw a little bit of harmonics on there. Let's see. Yeah, and then instead of squeezing down that threshold more, I'm just gonna turn it up a little bit here from the drive from the vintage tape bad boy right there. And then EQ, I'm gonna just check and see if I need an EQ.
Then that's why the violence can get in the bed. With exquisite women, your bitches know they not invited. So much hydro on my will to try that. Yeah, that's my...
So, you know, I know I was saying, like, you don't need to follow rules and everything, but there's good to know the general guidelines. The whole thing with rules is know the rules before you break them. That's my viewpoint. Know the rules before you break them. So that way, you're not just doing random shit. You're breaking rules with intention, right? That's what, like, artists do. So... check out the EQ curve of this track.
Yeah, that's my home. I go deep diving. Got this brown wet as hell. Yeah, when I'm in there, I swear.
So I'm gonna turn it down so I can talk while you can see this. If you look at this shit, it's like a gentle slope like this. It's a gentle slope like this. It's not straight across or something. That's a good thing. You want to see that. You don't want to see it going and then there's a hole in a section for most of the track. And that can be okay for a part, right? Or it's all weak up here and it's light up here. You want it to be gentle slope down. That's how a balanced mix should typically look. Now mix with your ears, not your eyes. But using an EQ like this on your mix can help you identify a problem. If you see a big spike or a big hole, you know that, you know, you're missing some frequency spectrum right there, or have too much of it, you got buildup right there. You can immediately come in here and turn it up or turn it down, see if that does it. But if you find that that's working, go back and figure out what sounds you've got that are in those sections and beef them up or take them out from them accordingly. And if you're looking, see, now we got a hole right here around 1,000. The reason for that is because the beat right there was doing like a filter sweep and it was a part of the arrangement. That's good. You know, you don't want it to be just like sound in your face the whole time. But if you notice throughout the meat of your track, you missing something right there, it's a good tool. But that doesn't mean mix with your eyes, right? Honestly, on here, I'm not seeing too much that I want to fuck with. I like the way it sounds. I think it sounds really good. Let me kind of look at it a little bit more. Or listen to it a little more.
Pussy niggas see, I got bad bitches telling me my pay, I never leave you. Branch out for currency, all my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit, first we lose our shit, then regroup. Oh, the transparency, you pussy niggas see, I got bad bitches telling me, yo. Yeah, we branch out for the currency, yo. See, all my niggas too legit, yeah, we go. All the transparency, you pussy niggas see through. We run straight through these bitches, yeah. We shit straight through you niggas, yeah. Unique as a master mania, we tend to do it bigger. Paychecks bi-weekly petty, yeah. We had to do it quicker, yeah. Ride with the heat because we had to prove the winner that he not the coolest member, yeah. My heart on cool December, yeah. My might get you dismember. Give a fuck about the group that's with your boy. How about and shoot us members? Now everything about your whole crew is cryptic. Bullets fit in you, make you the misfit. Accuracy shooting won't have a misfit. That nigga do it still back and misfit, yeah, yeah. The murder's the opposition.
So now it's tiny shit. Like I noticed in that vocal, got a little bit too much sounds. Hey, shout out to you, Shyla. Thank you. Say it. Oh, nice. Right, exact. I 100% agree with them more. Most of it is the arrangement. I think arrangement is everything in all this stuff. A lot of times, when I was earlier on, I was like, how do I make this sound good? And I was thinking it was a mixing thing, and it was just like, no, it was actually an arrangement musical thing. If that's not right, none of it's gonna work. So the only thing I was hearing right now is I think I wanted to DS this a little more.
We had to do it quicker, yeah. Ride with the heat because we had to prove the winner that he not the coolest member, yeah. My heart on cool December, yeah. My might get you dismember. Give a fuck about the group that's with your boy. How about and shoot us members? Now everything about your whole crew is cryptic. Bullets fit in you, make you the misfit. Accuracy shooting won't have a misfit. That nigga do it still back and misfit, yeah, yeah. The murder's the opposition. Fuck being apprehended. Fuck all the copper police pins. Baby is big poppy cleanse. Fresh out the bottom with a clear rear. But I got you so like a C6, yeah. I'm thinking y'all need this, boy. I'm at you here like I'm needing. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy, I'll never leave you. Branch out for currency. All my niggas bringing tree through. We too legit. First we lose our shit, then regroup. All the transparency, you pussy niggas see. I got bad bitches telling me, Poppy,
That shit sounds pretty fucking good. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna bounce this and put this in that LP penalty website. Hey, plug that website, man. That website is sick as fuck because it's free and it's really fucking useful. It shows you what all the streaming services are gonna do to your track. So different ones have different standards. Like most people just kind of go to Spotify's, which is -13 LUFS. I think that's a good point to go to. I would go there and don't overthink it. And just get your shit to around 13 LUFS. And then just go make sure that none of these streaming services are planning on fucking turning your shit down by like 6 dB. You know what I mean? So what we're gonna do now, I'm just gonna bounce this. I'm bounce it as an MP3. Oh, this is the fun part. Let's see, how many? Pull this chat. You know, you can get an AU version of the website. You talking about their plugin that they sell? Because I was saying earlier, I want to buy it, but I'm just like, it's free, and I just got other shit I want to buy. It was like $30 the other day, and I was just like, I kind of wanted to buy it, just be like, man, I want to just support it because it's dope that they've been letting me use this shit for free forever. And it's so nice, like you said, you can just have it on your fucking chain versus doing this shit, bouncing it and plugging it in. Because a lot of time in the Final Master, I'll bounce it like 4 or 5 times just fucking with threshold settings and putting it on there. Because I look for about... Once it sounds good and it's not saying more than like 2 dB off, you know. Sometimes it'll be like 1 dB off Spotify, but like 4 dBs off iTunes. I'm like, fuck, and I keep going back and fucking with it. Next time they go on sale, I'm probably going to buy that. We'll probably put it on the business. My next thing, though, I'm definitely, after this trial runs out, I'm sold on this hammer. It's stuck on my mix bus now. That hammer EQ from Kush. So I'm going to buy their monthly $10, and you just get all their plugins, including all the new ones. Because I've already got the Clairphonic. That's worth like $150, but that hammer one is sick, and I kind of want to I want to try, they've got a compressor and a reverb that I could download the trials to, but it's like it's $10 a month, and that way I get the hammer versus spending like $150 on the plugin. Yeah, exactly, a comfort thing. Yeah, it makes it easier, but workflow's fucking important though, you know. There's some shit because sometimes it'll take me like an hour to do that because I'm just, you know, it takes this long to bounce, and if I'm not talking to you guys on the stream, I'll just fuck around my phone, get sucked into that world, don't come back. You know what I mean? So, and this is just like a sanity check. I'm just going to kind of plug in here. Just to make sure I'm not going fucking crazy. That's all this is really telling me. That's perfect. That's fine. Yeah, this joint's good. I mean, I think I might go out and do some tedious work later, like maybe take out, because some of those breaths were a little loud, and there might be some, well, actually in all this space, this was a bounce, so I can see an errant sound right there, see? So, I'm going to go back and do some of that on here, but this is pretty much Gucci. So with that, I know EK just texted me that he's going to be here in like 3 minutes, and we're going to finish up more tracks on this album, but these aren't going to be scheduled. I'm going to be doing these streams every once in a while, just whenever I'm mixing. If I'm alone in here mixing, I'm going to just go live with y'all and just show y'all what I'm doing. Hey, much love, everybody. Hey, and shout out to Morgan for just, I haven't talked to you in a minute, bro, so it's just dope to see you in chats and shit. I know you're all the way over there in France, getting fucking work, doing shit with fucking movies now, or I'm sorry, TV shows, so fuck, man, that's dope as fuck. You can't knock work. Hey, peace, everybody. Much love.